Hey everyone, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the fourth episode of Courtship Code, brought to you by Black Muslim Single Society and hosted by me, Zara J. I hope you are having a wonderful day today, wherever you are, this part of the world. I know I'm down here, down south, and it is beautiful outside. It is a beautiful, beautiful day, and I feel great. So I'm excited to talk to you guys. So first of all, let's remember that the Houston Singles Mixer, December 15th, tickets are on sale. You can go to muslimjournal.net to purchase tickets to the Time to Be Grateful conference, or you can go to our website on blackmuslimsinglesociety.com or Instagram, Black Muslim Single Society, or Black Muslim Single Socials, and go ahead and purchase those tickets. It's going to be a speed introduction event. It's going to be the conference all weekend also, but you do not have to attend the conference to attend the singles event. However, it would be great for you to just, link up with other Muslims, hang out for the whole weekend and learn as much as you can learn, and just have that fellowship that we all often miss in the Muslim community sometimes. So go ahead and grab your tickets. You don't have to live in Houston to go. You can travel from all over. We also have October 21st, inshallah, we'll be having the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia singles brunch. So there are still a few tickets left for that. We have for the over 45 Muslims and the under 45 Muslims. And you can attend whichever event you would like to attend. I understand, especially in the 40s, it's kind of in between. People don't necessarily know, which event would be best to attend. But go ahead, pick which one you think would be best for you, and make sure that you grab your tickets. Again, you can go to our website, blackmuslimsinglesociety.com, or Black Muslim Single Society, or Black Muslim Single Socials on Instagram to go ahead and grab those tickets. If you want to get one for you and a friend, make sure you go ahead and get that. So this week we will be talking about the difference between courtship and dating. And this is something that I think a lot of people really need to take heed to. So I'm glad that you guys are joining me this week to get some information and insight, and maybe kind of turn your wheels around some of your own actions or mindsets around courtship versus dating to make sure that you're on the right track. I'm always super amazed at how in the Muslim community often we can be in denial about the fact that people are dating, right? And no, you may not be out and about at clubs or just picking people up on the street, or even going to going out on dates on the regular basis. But if you don't fully understand the difference between actual courtship and dating, then you are highly likely to fall into the dating mentality and dating actions. So we're going to break down what's the difference between courtship and dating, and then also make sure that you listen to the full podcast so that we can talk about how to change those actions, what you can do to kind of switch the mode if you're already in a dating courtship, and how to proceed and move forward. So, as I said, in the Muslim community, there's often this misconception that Muslims don't date Muslims. And I think that sounds good in theory. It sounds good, when you're trying to, keep up this religious facade oftentimes. But the reality is that in this era, especially due to matrimonial sites, social media, even matchmaking, like Black Muslim Single Society, people are a part of, it's so easy to fall into dating mode. Now, you can fall into dating mode if it is a long distance relationship. If it is something that's local, you can fall into dating mode even if you're not spending a lot of time with people. It's a mentality about how you approach the relationship. So here are 5 different things for you to keep in mind when it comes to dating versus courtship. First and foremost, the major difference between courtship versus dating is understanding that courtship is putting a divine purpose before intimacy. Now, in most cases, no matter what your religion is or your background, you understand that marriage is that divine purpose, right? Pleasing God or pleasing Allah is your divine purpose, right? So you're coming together to see if this relationship is ordained, if it's something that's going to be godly, if it's something that's going to bring you closer to your Jannah or your heaven goals, right? And get you to the other side. So if you're guided by that, then you should already know that, certain levels of emotional intimacy and physical intimacy can't come before divine purpose. So, and I'm keeping it real, like I said, this is a podcast that talks to what I have encountered in the Muslim community working with Muslim singles over the years, is that you definitely have to be mindful of emotional intimacy and physical intimacy. That means getting super emotionally attached before you discover that divine purpose and are clear on that divine connection between you two, getting physically attached to that person, and doing things that kind of work against what God would want for you, right? And I'm not trying to get uber religious, because that's just not the approach that we take at Black Muslim Single Society in order to connect with our followers, connect with our members. And not that being uber religious is a bad thing, but just in the sense that we do like to make sure that this is connecting with the everyday average practicing Muslim. But it's so easy to get off track, right? You get totally wrapped up into someone emotionally. You maybe kiss this person, be all up on that person. It happens, right? Maybe you're sharing videos, sharing pictures, whatever, right? And it happens, and I'm not judging. It happens, right? But if you find yourself falling into these modes and you find yourself slipping, right, backsliding, as people say in the church, then you're not courting, you're falling into the dating mentality and the dating mindset. So you're going to have to reverse those actions, whether it's in that courtship or in your next courtship, to make sure that you are always putting God first. The second thing, number 2. So the first thing is divine purpose before intimacy. The second thing that's the difference between courtship versus dating is that you talk about the hard stuff first. Now, I'm going to say that this is something that a lot of women struggle with, but men struggle with it too. And I know personally that men struggle with this, coaching men through the courtship process, offering different guidance and advice with matchmaking, learning to have the hard conversations. A lot of times, because we grew up in a Western society, or you're currently living in a Western society, there's this ideology not to talk about things because you'll push or pressure the person to move away. And that's good in theory with a dating mentality, or when you're dating. But if you're trying to figure out if there's a divine purpose for you two to be together, then you're going to have the hard conversations first. So if you've been talking to this person for a few weeks or even a few months, but you find yourself constantly avoiding heavy conversations, then you need to discover why. And a lot of times people avoid those conversations because they don't want to be forced to make a decision. Like, if I know that I'm looking for someone who is going to pay certain bills financially, or I'm looking for a woman who is going to be able to do certain things, for the household, or whatever it is that you're looking for. It's different for every person. But you're going to stall having these heavy conversations. And again, from a place of understanding and not a place of judgment, as we've talked about in other podcasts. But making sure that you are having these conversations so that you really understand who this person is and you can make a decision. And because you're putting divine purpose and you're not putting emotional intimacy first, you have not developed that emotional attachment to that person in a way that you can't walk away if you realize that this person has too many red flags, or this person can't meet what you're looking for. But when you're dating someone, you don't want to seem like you are applying pressure to this person, or you're moving too quickly, or you're being too serious about, marriage or moving forward. So you kind of get afraid or get nervous to ask the more serious, pressing questions. And that is going to backfire on you because you're going to end up wasting a lot of time. And I can't even say how many people have ended up in, extensive courtships or dating relationships. Really, it goes from courting to dating very quickly, or it goes from courting to a full-blown relationship very quickly, where you find yourself being super emotionally attached, where you can't break away from this person, where this person is almost like a life source for you, right? Because you've become dependent upon communicating with them. You become dependent upon seeing them, dependent upon the time and the intimacy that you share between one another. And you haven't even dealt with some of the core things to make sure that the relationship is going to work. So you end up wasting a lot of time, and that often leads to bitterness and not betterness. It often leads to a lot of regret and heartache because you wasted your own time avoiding. It's not because that other person, it's usually because you didn't want to have to make a decision. You were too afraid that it wasn't going to work out, or that you were going to be alone. So you totally avoided the important stuff in the beginning, when the idea of courtship is to deal with the important stuff up front. So number 2, again, is to talk about the hard stuff first. And number 1 was making sure that you put that divine purpose before intimacy. Number 3, the difference between courtship and dating involves family and friends. You know, in the Muslim community, you're highly encouraged to include a third party. I'm going to be honest. Do I assume that adults are going to or have to have a third party if they want to meet up for coffee or lunch or something? I'm not going to sit here and honestly say that that's the biggest deal to me. I think people should move how they feel comfortable. But early in the relationship, I would say within 2 weeks of talking, if not from the very beginning, at least within that first few weeks, you need to include a third party. If you're serious about getting to know this person, if you're communicating regularly, if this person is expressing interest, include a third party. Now, I understand some people like to get to know someone prior to, introducing them to their family or friends. And, they want to just feel comfortable, make sure that they actually like this person, that they see that this person is going to be around. I totally get that. So I don't see anything wrong with delaying it. Like I said, within 2 to 3 weeks. But within 2 weeks, you should have an idea of that person. You should have an idea of this person's values, of how this person communicates, not thoroughly, right? But you have an idea. You should have an idea of the attraction level. You should have an idea of if this could actually potentially go somewhere. And you know that within 2 weeks by 1, observing the person, and 2, by having the conversations, as we mentioned in number 2. So if you're in a situation where you haven't met this person's family, you haven't met their friends, maybe you're in polygamy, you haven't talked to no one knows, right? It's a secret situation, right? Or maybe this person only has talked to your wakil or your wali, but they haven't introduced you to anyone on their end. You need to have that expectation to have third-party involvement, to have family and friends. If you're in a situation that's super secretive, no one can know about it, whether it's monogamy or polygamy, and no one is supposed to know that you're courting, no one's supposed to know that you're talking, not even your family or your friends, or you're moving like you're dating, right? You're moving like, nobody needs to know our business. No one needs to know that we're talking to each other or considering a relationship. The reason why that happens in dating is because people want to keep their options open. So they don't want to be labeled. They don't want to be associated with anyone. But if you're courting someone, that only backfires because there's no accountability for the other person or for you. So you are going to have to bring up the third party situation. Hey, okay, well, it seems like we've been talking for a while. It seems like we're vibing and things are going well. So here is my wakil's phone number. I need you to give them a call. And there's no excuses. If that person starts making excuses, if they don't call within 24 to 48 hours, they probably are playing a game. And that's just me being honest. Yes, people have jobs, people have careers, so sometimes that's all. But if someone is serious, they're going to want to do that. And on the other end, brothers, don't be afraid if you have a female family member, if you have, a female friend that you're very close to, that you trust, your mother, whoever, to also have that woman, hey, I would like for you to meet my mother. I would love for you to meet my sisters. I would love for you to talk to this person so they can have an idea of who you are and your intentions with me as well. It's not one-sided. right? It's not one-sided. I can recall a time where my uncle, where he had me call a sister for him and ask her questions, ask her questions about her intentions, find out about what she's looking for, what she wants, who she is as a person. And this is he was like 40 something at the time, like late 40s, and he asked me to reach out and call this woman for him that he was considering for marriage to get to know her. So third party involvement is important in courtship, and it definitely shifts the difference. And again, a lot of times people don't involve third parties because either they're not serious or they are afraid that having that conversation is going to push that person off. So you're going to have to push past that and make sure that you are doing that. It also helps to keep things on track and keep it clear that you are talking for a divine purpose. You are talking in order to have these hard conversations, and having other people involved, having other people know and aware that this relationship is growing and building. It allows for personal accountability and for accountability for that other person. Number 4, the difference between courtship and dating is understanding that there is an end goal. If you are casually just chatting with people online, casually chatting with people on social media sites, casually chatting with people on the phone, video, casually hanging out, and there's really no direction for where things are going, there's no real purpose for why you guys are communicating, you really need to rethink your actions. One, it doesn't do you any good to be spread so thin. So you can always pick up when a man or a woman has a lot of the opposite sex surrounding them. It's really interesting. It's an air that people give off where you can tell that a man has a lot of women circulating in his life, whether that's romantic or just casual relationships, such as what was just mentioned. You can kind of tell by his nonchalant attitude towards making a commitment. You can tell that he's not pressed for female attention. He's not pressed for female energy because he has so much of it lingering around. And at the same time, you have women who are the same way. They are spread so thin, giving out that feminine energy to just casual men and random men that they're not really that concerned about having anything serious. So you have to check yourself and check others too with how you are spreading out your energy, how you're spreading yourself out. If you are just loosely communicating with a lot of people, or even just a few people, even just one person, and there's no real end game in that. Like, just be very mindful. Not saying that you can't communicate with others at all, because I don't believe that. But I do feel as though, and I think most people who understand the difference between courtship and dating is that the people that you say you have an interest in, or that have an interest in you, that you want to make sure that it is goal oriented. Now, this gets a little bit complicated for women, right? Because when you are a woman, and if you are a feminine woman and you don't like to be aggressive or super assertive, then you're not going to want to have an agenda behind your interactions, right? So you don't want to, apply tons of pressure or really aggress, or what's the other word I'm thinking of? Like, you don't want to be the one to chase the man, right? To chase him down. So, but you should be aware of that person's interest, of your level of interest, and just clearly express what you're looking for, clearly express your expectations. And as you're communicating with that person, make sure that they are aware that, look, I'm communicating with you for the purpose to get to know you for marriage. Our goal is to see if we are compatible for marriage. I don't want to just casually chat with you. I don't want you just casually calling my phone because you feel comfortable or you need some emotional support. And the same thing with men, right? Because men get friend zoned that way. Men get put into the buddy zone where, this woman feels like she can just call you up and chat with you, even though she knows that she likes you, or that you like her, but she just wants to kind of kick it, and there's no real purpose for y'all to actually be communicating, coming together. So number 4, understand that there is an end goal in mind when you are courting versus dating. The last thing, number 5, is, again, goes back to courtship versus dating saves you time. if you are courting and you are on track with number 1, a divine purpose, number 2, talking about the hard stuff first, number 3, involving friends and family, and number 4, understanding that there's an end goal in mind and you communicate that, then you are going to save yourself a lot of time. You are going to not have to worry about getting too invested in a person who's not in the same place as life. You're not going to have to worry about, being super emotionally attached where you are just dragging situations out and having to deal with a lot of heartbreak and heartache. It's funny. I told someone the other day that a lot of their negative views on relationships simply comes from 2 people, right? And that's quite amazing how a lot of times people will attribute all relationships or attribute negative thoughts or energy towards marriage or towards courtship, or, I don't feel like it. I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to do this and that. When oftentimes their negative views simply come from one person that they may have had an extensive, purposeless relationship with, or they may have gone about things in a way that they know probably wasn't in their best interest when it comes to courtship versus dating. So then they attribute marriage or the marriage process to that experience with that one person. And if you really sit back and think about those who really take a winning approach to courtship versus those who go about things in a dating way, I can bet that the outcome is going to be different. I can bet that the chance of success, the success rate for those who keep a very courtship-oriented mindset versus those who keep a dating mindset, I can bet that the marriage rate of those who actually get married are going to be vastly different. A brother told me some months ago that when it came to his wife, the woman that he chose to marry, the difference between her and some of the other women that he had courted or talked to in the past was that there was third-party involvement. It was the fact that she made sure to include her father very early on. Their friends helped hook it up, so their friends were involved in the process, and that there were more people ushering and guiding the path of that relationship than them just freestyling, as he had done with other sisters who didn't really involve too much third-party involvement. So including that number 3, including family and friends, is really important in order to keep things on track. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it will heighten the success rate. And I'm pretty sure if you look at a lot of opportunities in the Muslim community, people who have actually gotten married, you will see a correlation between that. So how can you change this? So what are some things that you can do differently if you are either already in a situation that you need to turn around, or if you know that you kind of suffer from a dating mentality and you get off track? Well, number 1, you need to develop your courtship code. And we'll probably be breaking that down in the next couple of weeks, to make sure that you stay tuned for that so we can discuss how to develop your courtship code. But this mindset shift around it and understanding the difference is a major part of developing your courtship code. Number 2 is you have to learn to feel confident to let it go and to make changes. Let go that which does not serve you. So you can't be afraid to have these conversations. You can't be afraid that if it doesn't work out, that you're going to lose this person. Like, there is no such thing as this might be your only opportunity. And there's no such thing as you might not get someone else like that in your life again. If you attracted a very beautiful woman and she doesn't fit what you're looking for, that's okay. You will attract another beautiful woman. If you attracted a man who seems like he has good qualities and good things going for himself, don't believe that you'll never attract a man like that again. You will attract that man like that again. If you were able to do it once, you can do it again. You have to be confident and truly believe that, and believe that Allah wants what's best for you and He's going to give you what's best for you. You have to be confident enough to make those changes. Be willing to change your actions. Be confident enough to do things differently and to say, okay, it stops here. If you're already in the courtship, realize that you might need to pull back and have these hard conversations like, look, we're off track. We need to get back focused. The next thing you need to do is find balance. So it's really tricky for Muslims in the West to find balance between courtship in Islam and their culture, right? Because we're an American culture, or if you're in the UK, or wherever you are in the West, right? We have a very casual lifestyle, and we always have connections with the opposite sex, whether it's at school, work, social life, whatever. And we know the culture that we were raised in is a dating culture. So you have to find that balance. Okay, I don't want to date, but I don't want anything super strict where I don't know this person and I'm just marrying them after 2 days. I get that, right? So that's why, again, developing your courtship code and knowing your expectations and what you want that to look like, and finding a balance between those two lifestyles so that you feel happy, confident, and certain about the choices that you make when it comes to spousal selection, marriage, or courtship. Number 4, make sure that you are doing check-ins. Now, check-ins are going to be with 1, the person that you're courting, and 2, with your family and friends. So you're going to, let's say you've been talking to someone for a few weeks. Let's say that you've been talking to someone for a few months. Everyone's situation is different. I can't tell people how long to court, but let's say within a 6-month time frame. Within that 6 months, you need to do periodic checkups. Like, make sure that you two are still on the same page. Make sure that you two are still moving towards a direction. You don't have to make it dramatic. You don't have to make it a big deal. You don't have to overly ask in an insecure way. But you just want to make sure that you're doing periodic check-ins to make sure that you guys are still in the same place, that you guys still are moving in that direction. If that conversation isn't naturally being had, then you need to make sure that you're aware of where you guys are headed and what path you're on. And then check-ins with your family. Let that other person, either man or woman, occasionally, speak with your family. Make sure that they don't talk to your wakil or your father or your mother or your sister, whoever, just that one time. Like, work on building a relationship and building rapport with that person so that others know where you are. And again, that accountability factor, so that you are constantly moving in that direction. The next thing is to be clear on expectations and then give space for them to meet that. So make sure that you express your expectations in marriage and in courtship. Make sure that that other person is clear on what you expect. So if you expect to be intended within 3 months, make that clear. If you expect to be married within a year, make that clear. Whatever those expectations are, make that clear, and then give that person space to meet that. Along with giving space to meet that, you want to make sure that you are giving yourself space to evaluate that relationship. So you don't need to call all the time. You don't need to text all the time. You don't need to video all the time. You don't need to spend a whole bunch of time together, because that'll end up clouding your judgment. That'll end up making you feel like it's a deeper relationship between you two than you have actually established in a rightful and lawful way. So make sure that you are giving yourself space to evaluate the relationship and giving yourself space to make sure that this person is what you want. It's so easy to get attached to someone. And that's why you have to make sure that you create some level of distance between you and that person. Again, that's why third party involvement is great. So that you can make sure that you are thinking with a clear mind and not just straight off your feelings. Another thing is, be mindful of how you communicate. No late night calls, no late night videos. Be mindful that, the freaks do come out at night and you ain't exceptional. So, they can come out during the day too, but, just be mindful of the fact that how you communicate and the level of communication that you're having can get you off track. And you have to always keep that divine purpose at the forefront. The next tip in order to turn a situation around is to spend time in prayer. Spend time in prayer. So make sure you're making that istikhar. Make sure you're making your salats, because a lot of times people fall off with prayer. They fall off with religious practice when they get wrapped up in a person. If you getting wrapped up in this person is pushing you further away from your Lord, that person may not be what's best for you. That person should be a reminder, not a distraction. So, or it might not be the other person. It might just be you. Maybe you're not ready for that person because you keep being thrown off. You keep distracting yourself, getting too wrapped up in someone else. So spend more time in prayer. That'll also help you with clarity and focus and intention. The next thing, right, is to make sure that you stay focused on you. Again, this correlates to giving space. So whatever your hobbies are, whatever your interests are, if you have a business or a side hustle that you do on the side, school, whatever it is that you like to do that focuses on you, that allows you to be your personal best, that allows you to be fun and carefree, the things that made you attractive from the start. Don't stop doing those things now that you're in a courtship and you're allowing yourself to get too wrapped up in another person. Men especially are super turned off by women who stop focusing on themselves and start putting all their focus in on them. So don't get off track. Don't forget about who you are and the things that you like to do that make you happy, and make this person the center of your happiness. Because then if it does not work out, you're going to not only be totally hurt and upset, but you're also going to be set back by the things that you no longer put your energy into, that you were putting your energy into before you met that person. So stay focused. Make sure that you're staying focused and that person isn't taking you away from your goals and from the things that make you happy. There was one more thing that I wanted to add into this, but it totally slipped my mind. I'll have to think about that for another time. But these are some great tips, again, that you can definitely benefit from. And inshallah, I hope that you guys will really think about the difference between courtship and dating. Change some of your habits if you have bad ones, which is cool. Everyone has bad habits, and that's why you get the good information and you share with others on things that you can do differently. And if you don't have bad habits and you're doing everything on track, we'll give yourself a pat on the back. So we will talk again very soon, inshallah, on the next episode of Courtship Code. Make sure that you go to blackmuslimsinglesociety.com, enroll in a basic profile listing membership or premium matchmaking so that you may be part of our matchmaking society. You can also follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Black Muslim Single Society. If there's any questions or anything, contact us on our website, blackmuslimsinglesociety.com, so that you can submit any information or questions that you may have. And I hope to catch you guys on the next episode of Courtship Code. Assalamu alaikum.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.